Good afternoon, Abbotsford residents. I'm Mr. Pelican. You asked me to clarify Barrow-town and the job site with Jake's, the gravel and the sand. You're all aware of it, and today a lot of people and developers and contractors and politicians drove out here and said, what the hell's going on? A snow job, a frame job, a stealing, not only on Abbotsford taxpayers, but on BC's taxpayers. Under the flood, there was no help for the farmers. It was all negotiated to get money to the contractors and the contract only, and not the tendering or jobs going out for tendering so other companies can bid on it or nothing. It was a rush job. When the flood happened, Henry packed his shit and fled from here. There was Chilliwack and other people that stepped in. Sandbags were brought in to dike this all, and they saw a way to use up the province's money. What they did is charge for them sandbags, took the sandbags out, and then took the sands to locations where they could use it. Then they tugged gravel in here. Then, at that expense, they tugged the gravel out and took it to locations. If you know where that gravel is, oh, you would be heartbroken. Then they decided another job under Jake's contracting, mismanaged and everything, to make lock blocks. Yesterday I did a video showing you at each end of Barrow-town are cement concrete blocks. They weigh about 5,000 pounds. And these interlocking blocks are on the two ends. But the middle, they didn't finish their job because I ran a video and Jake's packed up here and left. So let me explain this, how this works. Because Peter Sparanese and Rob Isaac and managements ain't here with the Abbotsford newspaper and no MP saying the wall's done. Because the wall's not. They were told to get out of here before it goes back to David Eby and everybody gets caught, because Abbotsford was a dumping ground under Henry Brown to get money and surplus money. We got Kelly Green going, and she didn't say we want more money for finishing the wall. No, because the wall didn't get finished anywhere. Then what we do is we have water that will hit that end of the wall and this end of the wall and pool. And it'll act like a funnel. It'll come through these weep holes and everything else. If the water ever can get this high, we got a better chance of finding Noah's Ark than water ever coming over this wall here at Barrow-town. Then that water will hit each other and it'll create into a funnel, and it'll come out and create a tidal wave, and it'll act and wipe out the freeway. Why didn't we take the money under David Eby's advisors when the highway was being shut down to TransCanada at $1 billion a day and give it to the U.S. to fix the Nukes Act, because that wasn't going to benefit Henry and Jake's. This was a job to steal off of Abbotsford residents, inflate and double dipping everything. If you walk here in Barrow-town and you go to the dike over there where the pumping station, nothing was done. The walls don't tie in, they don't go back to the banks or nothing. It was mismanaged. And now we got a wall half finished there and a wall half finished there. At that end it's 6 feet, and that end it's 6 feet. In the middle you can see it. And we brought all this in. This was a job why Henry used Abbotsford police to threaten. This was a job why Ross Siemens couldn't stand here and Vicky Hopes can't run an ad that the wall is done. And all these people that were on and Brad Viss should be the one, he was the one always about the flood, should say, Mr. Speaker, you know, the wall ain't done. You see the wall? Because it was done. When I ran that video, Jakes knew they were being flagged out. They packed up and they left from here and they fled. That money's all got to come back. They tripled and tripled and tripled dipped, and they were taking advantage of money and resources and spending it rather than helping the farmers. They didn't clean the ditches. They didn't reinstate the dike committee. They didn't block that at Sumas. They didn't do nothing. And I encourage you to come down here and look at the mismanaged garbage. And Rob Isaac thinks that this was a great wall. When I talked to Hydro, because the lines were hit by Jakes and the dump trucks, Hydro said they're loading these big concrete walls and blocks and didn't even geoseismic the weight pushing their poles and everything else. It was a scam. But nobody should be on the hook but Jakes to pay every single dime. The question is to my conservative friends and to Brad Viss, push pressure on David Eby. Does Henry Braun and you own in Jakes Contracting? Or who owns in there? Why would this take place, and why wouldn't you go after Jakes? This is what happened with Unitech at the police building when Darren Brown showed. You had Unitech getting all this money, Then at the end, they asked for another 20 million in overruns and overcosts on Abbotsford taxpayers to have artwork done and new cop cars when you hire a contractor, because I told you that from Wall Financial, I told you that from Aquilini, and I told you that from Mike Dakota. When you hire these contractors to do their job, you have to go after them to finish it. So Ross should be standing here with Kelly Green, David Eby, and the Abbotsford newspaper and Brad Visson saying we're going to go after Jakes. We paid them to build the wall and they didn't do the wall. They fled from here. And we want all that money back. And that is the question my Conservative and friends have to ask in the ledge and say, when is the RCMP going to open investigations into Abbotsford's dumping ground for the province? Because we could see this on Barrow-town. It was never about these farmers. The rumor in Abbotsford is that, never mind that, when Henry fled from here and left, that he might even, when you hear him, poke the dike to get in here. We know Henry dismantled the dike committee. We know it wasn't reinstated under Ross because Henry knew he could use them resources somewhere else. We knew the bottlenecks weren't getting done. We knew the ditches weren't getting drained. We knew the farmers weren't getting help. But we're going to give money to contractors and developers because how? Let me explain that from my world. When you land this job and whoever gets that job and lands it to you, you owe a kickback or that guy something. And that is why I said we're going to open the city books. And this is a prime example of this mismanaged shit by Jake's Contracting. Everybody's been down here today, had a look at it, politicians, even engineers and everything said, what's Rob Isaac doing? Well, wait, Rob Isaac's going to make his move. We don't got city councils or nobody talking about this wall. And I encourage you to come down here and look at this. And what does the NDP got to do about it? NDP needs a new leader. And they got to get rid of David Eby, because undoubtedly this spells something wrong with David Eby. This spells drastically wrong that you hired a mismanaged company, you get money into the city of Abbotsford, the wall wasn't done, you built 7 foot there, you built 7 foot there, nothing here, you got all these weep holes, and you did nothing. Because it wasn't. It was how we could get that money from the province into the municipalities, then get the jobs to our contractors and make sure something comes back through the door. We have to go after Jakes. And that is what my MPs and MLAs, and this is what Brad Visson should be doing. Brad knows it's already out there, so he's quit nagging for the dike money. Kelly Green, she knows, Greenwood of the NDP, Green knows that, so she stopped. Ross doesn't come here and take pictures or nothing. I mean, Abbotsford farmers got to be front and center, and that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to tell Jakes. Does Henry own into you? And we're going to open these books of who's on who, because we knew Ron Funk and we knew this. This is how these threats begin, with the Abbotsford APD, the task force threatening people because of what Darren Braun said. This there is common sense by everybody, developers and contractors. Appreciate everybody coming out today with me here, everybody walking on the dikes and looking in this mismanaging shit and in billing the province and BC taxpayers for millions of dollars of incompetence by these contractors. And probably now we got to look at Jakes being stopped on having any government jobs or working for municipalities. I'm live, Barrow-town, Waterford.